on us right now, Lord, and bless our fellowship today, Lord. Lord, I just take this moment to lift up our ICE agents across the country, Lord, for protection. Send angels to put a hedge of protection around them, Lord. They are dealing with a lot of stuff right now. Lord, I rebuke Satan's influence over this country that is so evident these days. People enjoying violence and actually reveling in it. Lord, we just ask that you would quell that and bring our country back to the state. Father, Lord, I just lift up our president to you, Lord, and his entire cabinet and staff. I lift up my friends here today, Lord. Let us do your will today. And that is all we are interested in. Lord, we just lift these things up to you, your precious son's name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. That'll be it. So today we are honored with our very first guest speaker with Ellie Schroder. She is a candidate for Louisiana Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. Ellie Schroder is a lifelong educator, administrator, business owner, and community leader with more than 27 years of experience in educational management and over 4 decades of service to students and families. She has taught grades 1st through 8th, served as a school administrator, and worked alongside teachers and principals to strengthen schools across Louisiana. Throughout her career, Ellie has led curriculum development, participated in teaching, mentoring, school improvement planning, and student performance initiatives, including Title I programs, LEAP testing, and response to intervention systems. She has facilitated professional development workshops across multiple parishes and played a key role in implementing reform models such as the Teacher and Student Advancement PATH system. Her leadership has helped schools improve outcomes while maintaining strong community partnerships and self-learning, not learning environment. In addition to education, Ellie is a licensed residential contractor and business owner, having owned and operated construction and small retail companies for nearly 2 decades. Her business experience brings physical discipline, budgeting expertise, and operational management skills. Assets she believes are critical to effective educational governance. She has also managed campaign finances, operations, and bookkeeping, ensuring transparency and accountability in public service. Ellie holds a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Southeastern Louisiana University. Woo-woo! A master's degree in elementary curriculum from Austin Peay State University, and a master's plus 30 in educational administration with certifications in school supervision and instruction. A trusted professional and longtime volunteer, Ellie has served on nonprofit boards and supported organizations, including Under the Bridge Ministry, Hopes for Kids, Hospice Foundation of the South, and Baskets of Hope. She believes strong schools are built through collaboration, communication, and leadership grounded in real world experience. On a more personal level, Ellie has been married to our dear friend, John Schroder, for over 40 years and is an extreme proud mother of an adult daughter and son. She's the doting grandmother to 4 precious gifts we know as grandchildren. Let's give Ellie a round of applause. Let's welcome her to the Ribbon Republican. We welcome you, Ellie.
I have to giggle. That's a long bio. But I guess after you've been alive for over 60 years, it's going to be a little lengthy. You know, after deciding to do this and with the support of my husband, John, I started talking about BESE board to people in the community and my interests. A lot of people were excited. They said, oh, great. What is it? So I know you guys are on top of things a little bit better than other groups, but I still feel as a teacher, I over-explain things a little bit, but I still feel I need to go over some things about BESE board. Paul Hollis's seat is vacant. He was finally appointed to our director of the Mint in the Treasury Department. I had to get that correct. So District 1 will now be open. There are parts of Kenner and Metairie, and from what I can tell, it's north of Veterans Boulevard that are in my district, and I thank you for allowing me to come and visit today. So there are 11 members to the BESE board. 3 of them are appointed by the governor, and the other 8 members are elected, all serving a 4-year term. There are other committees. When I talk about the BESE board to people in the community, I try and explain to them it's very similar to your school board. You have the at-large, you have committees within your school board members. Their committees, some of them are the goals of instructional improvement, finance, of course, educator effectiveness, school interventions, and turnaround. Their responsibilities are pretty broad. They have policy making regulations, budget and finance that they have to handle for all the public and the charter schools, curriculum standards and student assessment, teacher certification, and PD, what we call professional development, accountability and performance of monitoring of all the schools and their performance scores. Charter schools are something they're involved in, and that can be a good thing to some and a hot topic to others. But I do feel there is a need for charter schools. The only problem that I've seen talking to the superintendents and heard from the public school superintendents, they're not against charter schools either. They're more against the way they're held accountable. They're not as regulated as our public schools. So the pros of charter schools, I did a little investigating. You have increased flexibility of the standards, similar to public schools. Notice that word, similar. They're allowed to customize their curriculum. They have smaller class sizes. They can be specifically focused on a program. I know we have a charter school in St. Tammany Parish that is all for dyslexic learners. Then we have more parental involvement because the kids want to be there or their parents want them there. The cons of having charter schools, there's less oversight and accountability. They have potential segregation issues. They have uneven performance. Some charter schools, just like public schools, do very well and some don't. They have funding challenges. They have limited extracurricular challenges. They have maybe less sports, less clubs. Transportation challenges. They don't have their own personal bus system. And we've seen them in the news occasionally having to hire a bus system that did not do very well for their students. We have different teacher qualification requirements in a charter system, and there's potential for exclusion of certain children. The funding source is often the problem or the highlight of a problematic conversation when I have with the public. The MFP, Minimal Foundation, the money travels with the student. And the public seems to think that's the biggest issue. But I've met with Dr. Gray in Jefferson Parish. I've met with the superintendent of St. Tammany Parish. And I've tried to set up 2 appointments. I sent them an email this week with Tangipahoe because I have a very small part of that, a very small part of Orleans. But when I speak with these superintendents, their biggest thing is not the MFP. It goes right back to accountability. They said, I understand competition. As in business, it's a good thing. Those who do well remain, and those who don't dwindle out and you close. But the biggest problem is in education with charter and public, they're not all under the same regulations of accountability or guidelines. And we'll talk more about that, I hope, in a little bit, if I can get that far. So I also learned that there are there's actually 4 types of charter schools where the school board approves it and they run it basically and evaluate it. I say run it, they don't really run it. The school board approves it. The charter school gets their charter, but they answer to the school board for accountability. And then the one that I hear most of is it's pretty much that where they run it, but the Department of Education, BESE board, have regulated it. It's accountability, but the school board kind of oversees it. So again, it's the accountability is not always the same for standardized testing. Some take, some don't. Some have a program where they write their accountability program and the state has to approve the accountability program. BESE also had some special say in special programs and initiatives such as early childhood, special ed, and career and technical education. BESE's big role too is appointing the superintendent of education of the whole state of Louisiana. What's coming up and what's new? I researched a little bit, went to a couple of BESE board meetings, watched a few online, and we have LEAP scores that were out this year where the math testing times have been cut, and the teachers are appreciative of that. If you've ever been involved, how many in here are educators or have been involved? So 2. You guys know how much time goes into LEAP testing. 1 week, basically, a full week, the school is shut down. And then you have those who need extended time, so that goes over into the next week. Then you have those who are absent who have to come into that week too. So it is more disruptive than just 1 week. And then the preparation for LEAP, our teachers take another week or so prior to drilling hard what's going to be on the test, the format, how do you take the test? Meaning if it's computerized, the young ones may need help learning how to even function with a keyboard. So the time out of the classroom of the actual teaching becomes a problem. So hearing that, the BESE board has tried to reduce, and they did. This year, the scores that we're seeing had a reduction in both LEAP ELA and math testing times. But by 27-28 testing, they're going to cut our testing time from 1,100 minutes to 500 minutes. It will eliminate all the social studies section. And I'm looking at next, I'll get to the elementary foundation part of this in a minute, which we've eliminated that testing, but yet we put some other testing during the year in place, which will make it even more time consuming, I believe, but it has produced some good outcomes. So under the BRAVE plan, which is a newer education plan, the new statewide accountability system is going to be called Grow, Achieve, and Thrive. And as educators and military people, you know they're acronyms for anything and everything. That's, if you ever hear GAT, they're talking about Grow, Achieve, and Thrive. This is the emphasis on the high school achievement growth. The concern now, though, talking to Dr. Gray and to Mr. Jabbia, this came up in both conversations. The pressure on teachers and students increase because now the test carries 75% of the teacher's score. Because not only are they testing to score the children, they're testing to score the teachers. The positive thing is that they're focusing now, though, on more work-based learning. And as a business person and a concerned citizen to grow the business in the area I live, I want to make sure our kids are more workforce ready in all areas, just not college. The elementary has a new program out called Foundational Literacy and Math. I say it's new. In 2022, the legislature introduced and passed Act 520 and 517. It increased the amount of intermittent testing. Here's the increase. During the school year, students are screened, tested 3 times a year to identify learning gaps.
Of course.
And hammering. So the positive thing about it, though, is that 50% of the kindergarten through 3rd grade students in the state had at least a 3-point gain in literacy. So it has some good and some bad. The teachers are complaining because it does take away to screen these kids 3 times a year, a lot of time that they could be teaching. Attendance strategy, the power of presence is what this one's called. They're just going to provide more resources and supports to schools. We have truancy of kids who are missing a lot of school, and that has been a problem probably 30, 40 years now. We cannot keep our kids in the classroom unless the parents assist in that strategy. And a lot of times in these Title I schools, I've had, I don't know, I guess I was in a 4th to 6th grade school as an administrator. And I had 4th grade students who would get their siblings on the bus because mama worked night shift. So they fed their kids cereal, I'm sure, put them on the bus, came to school, and they ate lunch and breakfast again so that they could eat substantial food. So attendance is going to be a problem, and that will be for a while. Then we have the LA Gator Scholarship Program. Anybody heard of that one yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sort of. All right. Well, this is an account, a savings account, called the Educational Savings Account, LA Gator Scholarship Program. And the Educational Savings Account is referred to, again, an acronym, ESA. So if you hear ESAs, that's what they're talking about. It's funds for low-income students who are currently in the voucher program. With this money, they can use it for tutoring, tuition, fees for private schools, textbooks, education therapies, that would be like speech therapy, OT, occupational therapy, dual enrollment classes, uniforms. The goal right now is to expand this opportunity for all families, but right now they're focusing on the lower income. The concern is that it diverts money from public schools. The positive part of the larger initiative to improve student performance, so many public schools are not at grade level. So it's kind of like being in the legislature, I say, because you got to know a little bit about a lot of things.
Mm.
And you got to be willing to listen to multiple views. You know, I have my view because I've been in the trenches a little bit, but I realize and respect that other people have their view from their personal experiences too. So I want to run for the purpose that every teacher wants to teach. I love kids. I still have the desire to see the best for their futures. So please, when you remember, please remember me when you go into the voting booth. Our closed primary is May 16th. And if there is a runoff, it'll be in June. And then our general election is set for November 3rd. So if I have any time left, I'll take any questions.
What district?
It's District 1, BESE board. Like I said, it encompasses parts of Orleans, parts of Jefferson, all of St. Tammany, and a small part of Tangipahoa. Don't think so, but I have to look because it's just very weird gerrymandering type thing. So how many of you have the Go Vote app?
I do.
All right, if you look on the Go Vote app, you should be able to tell what district. Yes, sir.
Yes, I have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
Number one, our neighboring states, Texas and Mississippi, have trade education in the high school curriculum. Why can't we have that in Louisiana?
Yes, ma'am.
Because not everybody is cut out for 4-year college.
Exactly. And when I was teaching 7th and 8th grade, I knew exactly which kids would want to go college bound and which ones would need a skill in life. But I would say that a lot of this is done in the parish and what they can afford. You've got to pick you got to take a VOTEC type thing, let's say drafting over calculus. You only have funds for certain teachers, or you only have funds to buy the equipment. I think money could be an issue. Texas is a very well-to-do state. Mississippi is coming up. That's why I said the work base, they're focusing more on that, the high schools now. I know in St. Tammany Parish, we do have overlap where we have VOTEC in the schools where they actually do a little internship out of the school. So yes, it's coming back.
You need to introduce civics into the high school freshman because it's no longer there. In St. John public school system, there's some teachers that still have Black Lives Matter posters in their classroom. My little 12-year-old nephew, 2 years ago, teachers asking him who he's going to vote for president when he turns 18. He said, he told me, as President Trump, he got a big suspension for saying that. He was enticing a riot. I'm serious. And,
I find that funny that they asked because when John was running, I couldn't even have a bumper sticker on my car and park in the school parking lot. We're not supposed to have a discussion like that.
So after he got his 1-week suspension slip, he's walking out and he told the teacher, get off the plantation. Get off the plantation, start voting Democrats. 12 years old and he's smart. And I can go on about this over all day long, but he did get that suspension appealed, it got off his record because they were afraid of a lawsuit.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Renee?
Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering. Y'all. The children these days, there's a lot of ADHD going on. Teachers. I had a 3-day nephew who the teacher just downgraded, badgering him at 80, trying to still, there's no outlet for him. And then got put down, put on
That a lot of that comes from what they learn in the colleges. And colleges set their own standard to what things they teach or focus on. I know educational psychology, we had some of that, and that was 40 plus years ago. It's a lot of what they learn. And unfortunately, our principals are so bogged down, they can't get into the classrooms like they used to, and they can't supervise or assist or give pointers. You put mentor teachers in there a lot of times when you see situations like that. You know, teachers in your school that handle this thing, that handle ADHD well. And a lot of times you put them with a mentor teacher, or for a new teacher, a mentor teacher who does well, and they can help. But principals don't know that. Principals can't get out and see it. A lot of times the legislature bogs them down with paperwork. The bullying packets, I think, are now like 10 pages. You also have paperwork because you have to write school improvement plans. You have to write Title I plans, all while running your school and still trying to deal with the behavior issues. So it's a long answer, but in just the answer is your colleges and how they teach and what they teach, and your administration and school system on what they provide for support. And is that teacher asking for help, or is she hiding that she needs help?
They did not. And now, where it is. It's like a fear stepper. And it's under.
Yeah, a lot of times when I was in the school system, we gave them scrunchy balls, squeezy stress balls a lot of times. Also, and I had one that had the hyperactivity, I put them in the back where they could stand up and move about their desk and gave them a square. You got all this space to move in, do whatever you need to. Because they hang out their desk or they get up and they wiggle, and that's fine as long as they were in the back where they weren't disrupting. Where a lot of teachers who don't have the experience of move them to the front where they can watch them closer and discipline them and be tighter on them. So it really depends on your training and what's available for sources. Yes, ma'am. Yay, bless you. I'm a previous ODL.
Wonderful plans and everything, and you can start and one of these different interventions, and but you have a class of 30 children who are being taught. You have this one person who's running around the class. I know everybody needs a particular area. Not for a certain child.
So what she's talking about is the least restrictive environment law. It's a federal law. And we have to include all children with IEPs. So yes, and that's been a problem for years. But you also have situations where special needs kids do come in and they do progress. So that it's all lumped together. Yeah.
So you have to do this one and step. Not that the two steps are not. It's definitely 29 of them. It's very difficult with the one person. Then,
Even when they have an assigned para, it is.
wonderful, unfortunately, in Louisiana,
I understand.
so the teachers, especially teachers, have to train. And then they don't like to do this, they don't like to do that. You know, they want to just sit there and read to you.
Think that good. Okay, one more question?
I know
It is hard. That's why I said bless you when you said you were special ed.
profound also autism and
Yes.
My son, if he had to write it or read it, that he couldn't learn that way. But if you gave him a test verbally, he would ace. You know, he'd pass the whole thing.
Yes, and it happens, there's so much individuality, there's no way an IEP can really be individual.
And he had
It's
dyslexia.
happen in a school setting.
okay, go ahead. We may give kids enough physical activity to burn off some of this.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on where they can put in the minutes. You're required to have so many minutes per subject. And often it's lumped together right at lunchtime. Too much free time, too many recesses. Then you have the issue of the fights on campus. Yes, sir.
Last question.
No, I don't. I got 4 kids. Kids. So, one of y'all, I before the class, they help on the teacher. And then I'm not remember what year it was. All of a sudden, this is a public school. And all of a sudden they told me I couldn't do it anymore. And because there was some new guidelines that parents couldn't go to class for that. Is that
It probably was happening during school shooting type things because it's a public safety. A lot of times they want to check your background, know who you are, and you have to have written type, some type of background approval. And it's to protect the children.
What's the status of the
I do not know about that.
Because
be honest.
the teachers themselves is where wanted me to go because I could help a kid that was struggling a little bit.
Mhm.
I think on the side and I help them out with how the teacher also do a couple.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden we couldn't help the teachers anymore. You could see what was going on in class.
Well, unfortunately, with today's sexual issues and violent issues, we have to be very protective of our kids. And it's probably a parish policy, I would think. So,
And one more thing. So I was 40 before I learned that I was a conceptual learner. And I think that, you know, that's something they should show children at a very young age. Either you're a linear learner or a conceptual learner. And then they should, you know, make programs for each, not just a one standard for all.
when I was,
I mean, I could not learn, and then it ends up that a conceptual learner learns precept upon precept, the concept. They don't learn, they don't memorize and then it's gone. They actually understand it. So later on, the linear learner forgets because they can memorize so many facts, but the conceptual learner actually comprehends it,
conceptual learner actually.
learns more and better in the longer run, understands the concept.
So, Susie, real quick,
That's what you legislate to go. If we need to watch out.
that's another book of worms. If the federal government does release us and allows us more independence, then what becomes of all of our Title I funds? And a lot of our schools are not as rich as the southern schools of Louisiana. If you've ever been through the central part of Louisiana, there's some really poor school districts out there that rely on Title I funds. And I've taught, every school I've been in has been a Title I school. I enjoy it. I like the population. I was special ed coordinator at our school. I did all the ODR for gifted, talented, special ed. So anyway, I know I've gone over. Thank you. Ellie. Thank you.
Sorry about that. All right, thank you so much. We appreciate Ellie Schroder for BESE District 1. All right, if you're in that, if you're at the polls and you see Ellie Schroder, push that button. Let's get her in there. Let's do our best. This will also be shared on our YouTube and our Facebook channel. So when you go back home, look for it. It'll be on my page. If you follow me, you'll see it there. Okay. Our next guest, Dr. John Fleming, also candidate for Senate. John Fleming was elected Louisiana State Treasurer on November 18, 2023, and sworn in on January 8, 2024. A physician, entrepreneur, businessman, and military veteran. He is also a former congressman from the 4th District of Louisiana. He served 4 terms in Congress from 2009 to 2017. While in Congress, he was one of the founders of the House Freedom Caucus. After leaving Congress, he was appointed to 3 different positions in the Trump administration. First, he served from 2017 to 2019 as Deputy Assistant Secretary at Health and Human Services. Then he was appointed and Senate confirmed in 2019 as Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Economic Development. In 2020, he was detailed to the West Wing of the White House and served as the Deputy Chief of Staff to President Donald Trump. Fleming grew up in a working class home His father died while he was still in high school, leaving him with no breadwinner in the home, 2 younger siblings, and a disabled mother. Despite such hardships, John worked his way through college and was accepted into medical school. After his residency in family medicine, Dr. Fleming served as a naval medical officer. After leaving the military, he set up a medical practice in Minden, where he lives today. In addition, he started several companies managing commercial real estate, as well as multi-unit franchises. These businesses continue to successfully operate today. John and Cindy have been married for 47 years. They have 4 grown children and 6 precious grandchildren. Let's welcome Treasurer State John Fleming.
Also, I was MAGA before MAGA was cool, don't you? I think you stand here, right?
Because we have you video, yeah, please, thank you.
Well, thank you, Martha, for that, and great to be back with you. I mean, look, I feel like we've known each other for life.
Yes, long time.
It's been a long time. This year, I've seen y'all in other meetings, so it's great to be with you. And of course, Ellie and her husband, John. John was my predecessor for the current office I'm in today, treasurer. So just coincidentally, we're here today. Great. Let me go back to my early beginnings, because I think it's important that you understand where I come from and why I take the positions I do and the actions of those and the decisions that I make even as treasurer. So I grew up in a working class home. I remember distinctly how we sat around the kitchen table and we made decisions about expenditures. How much can we spend on this per month? You know, back then we didn't even use credit cards. We didn't have a credit card debt, right? And so we had to make it work. And you know, there are millions of families today that are going through this, particularly after the Biden inflationary period. We're still trying to get the price of eggs down. They are down better. And gasoline, that's good. But still, there are many things that the prices are just too high. So along the way, my mother became disabled, and I was leaving from college when I was 17, and with big plans to go to college. My dad suddenly died of a heart attack at age 43, and left us in a position that I didn't know whether I was going to get to go to college. But when I was 11, I accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. You're the first week that's ever fallen when so, but that says a lot about you, I think. So, you know, I took this perspective. I said, well, then what am I going to do with my life now that I'm a Christian? And I said, we should serve God. That's what we're called to do as Christians, right? It doesn't end with just accepting the grace of God, you know, through Jesus, his son. That's just the beginning. That's not the end, right? It goes on from there. So we should serve God. But how best to serve God? And so I concluded, well, you must serve his people. That's how you serve God, is to serve his people. So I had a grandmother who was an LPN nurse at the time, and she used to regale me with stories about the hospital. She was not very complimentary of doctors, by the way. And the things she told me, the stories and everything, you can't do today. They're HIPAA laws. You cannot tell me. But I used to love to hear it. It was like having your own soap opera, right? So I came to the conclusion that to serve God, perhaps I should be a physician, maybe as a doctor. That would be best. And I had some skill sets. I was good in math and good in science. And I love people. I do. I still love people. And I think that's very important, both as a physician, but also someone who's a public servant. So anyway, I decided to become a doctor. And as you heard, my dad died just before I went to college, and I didn't know if I'd get to even go to medical school, much less college. So, the good Lord saw a way for me to do that. So I worked part-time jobs. I worked in the summertime at the reservoir, took my shirt off, got a good tan and chopped wood, and, worked my way through, and I took out some loans. One gig job I had, by the way, is I was a houseboy for a sorority. Now, I did that. Well, they didn't pay, but I got 2 free square meals a day. And the best chow on campus is always in sorority, right? So, and I got to flirt as much as I want. So actually, it's a pretty good gig. But anyway, I got through college and I was accepted in medical school. And after the first semester of medical school, I ran out of money. But this time, it just happened that Congress had passed a new law because of drafting. And they didn't, used to they could draft doctors, but they could no longer draft doctors. So they found a way to bring doctors into the military service, and that was to pay their way through medical school. So I was the first student, as far as I know, that was sworn in into the Health Profession Scholarship Program, which exists today. Hundreds of thousands of young people have gone through that program. And of course, I had to give them back years of service into the military. Frankly, if they hadn't put me through medical school, I would have done it for free, because there's no group of people in our society that I admire more than the people who serve in uniform in the military, particularly those who become combatants or potential combatants. They're giving up their lives, their freedom, for us and to secure our freedom. So, and my father was in World War II. I had an uncle who fought with Chastant. I had another uncle that fought with the Marines on Guam. And I admired these people. They were icons in my life, and they've since passed away. But they did pay my way through medical school. Now, the United States Navy will issue you a lot of things, but a spouse is not one. You have to find your own. So I was a senior medical student, and this pretty brunette with the ponytail, and remember the hats that they used to wear back in the day, the nurses. She came up to me and she asked for my autograph. Well, that's my story. She says that that I had to co-sign an order from an intern. So I don't know, you take whichever story you like. But the one thing we agree on is I captured her phone number, and we've been married now 47 years, as you heard Martha say. We have 4 grown children and we have 6 grandchildren. So very blessed and very pleased with that. So I served 6 years in the United States Navy. I delivered hundreds of babies. Many of them was on the island of Guam. There's not much to do on Guam, okay?
Did it tip over?
It did not tip over. It did not. Yes, I know. I know the guy who said that. And yeah, well, he won't answer questions about it. But I was actually in the room when he said, because we both served on House Armed Services, Democrat, of course, Republican.
Of course.
So anyway, in fact, one of my kids, our first child was actually born as well. But some of them I delivered was during hurricanes, but I didn't get hazardous duty pay. They don't pay hazardous duty pay to deliver the babies during hurricanes. So anyway, but I really loved the service, but still, we wanted to take our little family and settle down and go into private practice. We found a little town in North Louisiana called Mendon, and we moved there. And we settled down. I opened up a medical practice, and it flourished right from the beginning. And it still operates today. I still practice from time to time. In fact, I was just notified last night that I passed my boards, so I'm board certified for another 7 years. And I did practice some during COVID. So, but also I got the entrepreneur bug. I said, I'd like to own a small business. People talk about this. I mean, it's the American way, right? Small business. So opened up the first Subway restaurant in North Louisiana. We built up to 32 and they still operate today. I also got involved in another company called, it was then called Mailboxes, et cetera. Today it's called the UPS store. Probably done business there. And we also built up a portfolio of commercial real estate. Still employ 350 Louisianans today. So I'm very proud of that, you know, because that's what it's all about. It's creating jobs.
Yes.
And so in 2008, I decided to run for Congress. I was elected. I served from 2009 to 2017. But frankly, I was very disappointed in the Republican leadership in the House of Representatives. John Boehner, who was Speaker then, I thought he compromised way too much before October. Remember the Iranian deal? What a bust. What a stupid idea. So we give them what? Billions of dollars in greenbacks, in actual cash, which they created all of these organizations now that are terrorists.
Yeah.
And then they went ahead and built their nuclear programs, even though they supposedly wouldn't do it. But we know they did. They would. The whole thing was just. But that's the kind of thing that drove me crazy as a congressman from Louisiana. And there were others who were this way. And so we came together and we created something called the House Freedom Caucus. House Freedom Caucus. Some of my comrades there, Jim Jordan, who's head of the Mark Meadows, who became chief of staff in the White House.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis, who became governor of Florida, and others who've done a splendid job. So it was really a pleasure and an honor to be with such conservative people. And not just men, Cynthia Lummis, who's now a senator from Wyoming. She was very conservative, was then, not as much now as senator, but anyway, we did well, and we were the first group that actually supported Trump when he was being attacked, claiming that, you know, he had this Russian connection, collaboration, and all that crazy nonsense.
Oh,
So we were the first ones to, you know, to really stand up against that. So after 8 years in Congress, I was appointed by President Trump first to Health and Human Services for 2 years, then to lead Economic Development Administration, which required Senate confirmation. Chuck Schumer actually voted for me, and I still can't explain that. I began to question my own conservatism. But all the Republicans voted for me, so that's good. So anyway, then in the last year of the Trump administration, I was detailed over to the White House where I served as Deputy Chief of Staff, President Trump. So to give you an idea, anybody here taking a tour of the White House? Okay. The tour you get there is in the East Wing. That's where all the antiques and the portraits and, you know, all the lavish stuff is beautiful. But the work goes on in the West Wing, and it's a small, cramped section of the White House. And so my office was here. Jerry Kushner was next to me. He's the shadow chief of staff. Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was over here. Across the way was Vice President Pence. And 10 steps down this hallway was the Oval Office where President Trump was there. And it was indeed a pleasure and honor to serve alongside this man. He did awesome things then, but you know what? He is. I mean, this guy, I mean, it's just amazing what he's coming up with. I mean, he just, I mean, every day comes out with something. You go, that's weird. You go, no, that's genius.
yes,
Genius what he's doing.
yes,
And he's really going to make the world a better place.
yes.
Unless
We already have.
yes, he has. He
Yes.
absolutely has. So I'm four square behind him,
Amen.
totally behind him.
Once we grab.
And so while I was there, I was a liaison for the 2020 census. I was on the coronavirus task force. There was a very notable person who served on the coronavirus task force besides me. And who do you think that was?
Thousand.
No, he wasn't on. He was
Thanks.
Fauci. Dr. Fauci, he was a legend in his own mind.
Yeah,
And
we had help.
he shot from the hip and called it science.
Yeah.
And we found out later that he was actually funding through NIH the very research that led to this pandemic. It leaked in a lab, Wuhan lab in China. Gain of function is what they were doing.
Yeah.
No one's ever explained why they were doing that. That's a dangerous thing to do. Take a virus and do that. So
Right.
anyway, I stayed there till the very last day. You know, a lot of people resigned in the White House after January 6th. And I'll note here that the second impeachment trial where Trump was impeached, actually, it went to the Senate after Trump had already left the office. He was already out of office. So what was the purpose of impeaching him? Well, so in the impeachment trial, all Democrats and 7 Republicans, including Bill Cassidy, voted to convict, not impeach, convict. That's after looking at all the evidence.
That's correct.
And what was the evidence? That he committed high crimes and misdemeanors, which is the constitutional evidence. Here's what happened on January 6th, or here's what happened 3 days before that, January 3rd. A lot of people don't know this, but it's well documented now. So President Trump talked to Nancy Pelosi, the Tilly, who is head of Joint Chief of Staff, and then the Mayor Bowser of Washington. He said, January 6th is going to be a bad day. Okay? So we need to protect the Capitol. Now, I'll remind you, the BLM rights and all that, we already had National Guard around the White House.
Yeah.
It took me 30 minutes to get into the White House because I had to go through all these checkpoints. And it had 3 fences, 3 perimeters around it. Remember, they tried to burn the church.
Yeah.
So what was the big deal? If we protect the White House, why can't we protect the Capitol? And Nancy Pelosi said, no, it's bad optics. She turned him down, and he could not do it unilaterally. He had to have them requested, and since they did, he recommended 10 to 20,000 National Guardsmen. And that day would happen. My opinion is that she did that deliberately. She was hoping this would happen. So they were doing everything they could. So everybody from Nancy Pelosi to Bill Cassidy, to all the Democrats in Washington and many of the Republicans, the establishment Republicans, they were all in on this. To keep him from running for re-election.
That's correct.
And then we find out in 2020, was there cheating? News is breaking out everywhere.
100%. Tina Peters.
They just said that there was 300 something thousand votes in Georgia that they have no signatures for at all.
Wow.
So there's, we don't.
And
but-
Tina Peters.
Yeah, Tina Peters, who's in prison, Colorado. The governor there, who's keeping her there, was a colleague of mine, Democrat, of course, but crazy left-wing guy when I was in the House of Representatives. I should never be governor. Never be responsible for another human.
Amen.
It's just that bad, folks.
It is.
Yeah.
So anyway, after all that occurred, I came, back to Michigan. I practiced medicine a bit for a year or 2, and then ran for the treasury, which I was elected. Thank you very much for that. So what are some of the accomplishments that we've had? Well, Bank of America requested to be a fiscal agent for our boards and commissions very early on. And
Thank you.
I looked into some things to find out that Bank of America, as well as other banks, had been closing accounts for conservatives,
Yeah.
gun owners, Christian charity organizations. And I said, you're doing business here in Louisiana, not while you're doing it, okay? Because if you're going to do that, you're going to discriminate against our citizens. We're not going to do business with you. So what I found out later was that Biden regulators were behind this. They were pushing these big banks, these national banks to do this. And so anyway, we also have been working on other things to for instance, the issue with ESG and preventing investments going into things like that for low return. But March 31st of last year, we launched, and I know we have educators in here, we launched a transparency website for K through 12, both public schools and charter schools. And what you can see in that, and this has not been available until we launched this. This was passed by Rick Edmonds, Senator Edmonds, and we're the ones that implemented it. But you have not been able to look inside of these schools until now. What we found, we've uncovered a lot, folks. Money is going in the wrong place. People paying their car payments, taxpayer money. Oh, yes. Bar bills, you can't imagine how many bar bills. Massages, laptop computers. So, like, and there's going to be an announcement on January 19th. There's a school, this little charter school, that misspent $600,000 in 6 months.
What?
You're not going to believe what you read about this, okay? But I think it's emblematic of what happens at a much lower level across the state. And so we need to tighten this up. We need far more accountability. We need to do these things. Another thing that we've just implemented is we completely computerized the cooperative endeavor agreement piece of appropriation. So this is how it works. The legislature passes an appropriation, that money may go to a non-governmental organization, and either go to a city or parish or whatever. But there has to be a contract between the Treasury Department and these entities to be sure they show us receipts and, you know, all the accountability that would go with that money. We don't just give them a check and say, you know, goodbye, come back when you want some more money. No, we actually expect to see things. We want to see payroll. We want to see purchases and things, proof that they're spending the money the way they should. But I can tell you a lot of them gain this. There's one, they were allocated about $100,000 for a food bank. This was related to the church. And the way they requested it was $20,000 for a payroll and $80,000 for food. But then once they got awarded this, they wanted to change it in the contract, make it $80,000 payroll and $20,000 food. Yes, I mean, these people are pretty bold about this stuff. So we really are tight-fisted. We're trying to, and I know John Schroder was very tight-fisted as well. And so that's important. We need accountability in government. Now, what are some things we do? We got $450 million return on investment last year. We're doing well with your money. We were upgraded from AA negative to AA on bonds. The better the rating, the lower the interest rates that we have to pay when we borrow money for projects. That's all good. Fiscally, we're in good shape. Our reserve funds are good, and we're happy about that. Just announced a $293 million surplus in our budget. Well, but remember that once the legislature gets news about this, maybe we should whisper about it. They're going to find new places to spend the money.
Yeah, of course.
So we got to push back against this. But this money should go back to the taxpayer in the form of tax cuts.
Absolutely.
And remember that the modern economy is leaving California and New York and Illinois. It's coming to the South, folks. Yeah. Everything from high-tech companies, advanced manufacturing, the reshoring of things like making chips, all that stuff is coming, and it's coming to the South.
AI.
But for the most part, it is not coming from Louisiana. See, that's the problem. It's going to Texas, Tennessee, Florida. What do? They have no personal income tax.
Yeah.
Mississippi too.
Well, Mississippi is on track. They've not gone to zero. They're in an incremental program to get down.
Ron DeSantis is trying to get rid of property tax.
Correct. So we need to compete among states around us, and that's why we need, as I say, to return this to our citizens in the form of tax cuts. So they will reinvest in new businesses, bring new businesses in, bring in population, and stimulate and expand the tax base. In doing so, our revenues will actually go up. And so that's what these other states have been doing, and we need to do that too. So talk to your legislators and talk them into to not spending this money, but to reinvest it in our future. I think that's important. Also, the most favorite program. What's the most liked program that's in the Department of Treasury? Do y'all know what that is?
Lost funds,
Unclaimed
unclaimed
property.
property.
Yes.
Ron was the forefront on that.
Yes, he was. He sure was. So, what this means is if there's an account that got lost, maybe you forgot about a bank account, there's no activity, maybe it's an investment account, perhaps it's a relative. It could be a tax refund that never made it to you and you forgot about it. It all goes to the Treasury, and the governor and the legislature cannot touch it, okay? So if you don't claim it, it's going to go to your heirs one day. It loses value over time because interest in things do not build up on it. If the money, any investment of it goes to the general fund. So that's why you should be very timely about looking for this. Once, twice a year, you should go to lacashclaim.org, lacashclaim.org, or just simply come to the Treasury's website. You can click a button and put a little bit of information about yourself, and boom, we'll have a check for you. Now, look, giving people their money back is very easy, or so I thought. We had a gentleman that we called him and he didn't answer the phone, so we left a message. Sir, we have $20,000, in unclaimed property to give to you. So please call us back. He wouldn't call us back. He would not call us back. He thought it was a scam. Wouldn't you? I guess I would too. Anyway, we actually talked him into coming to a meeting with the Republican ladies, Republican women's meeting. And I showed him my credentials and the check, and he accepted. But the average return is $500, and 1 in 6 Louisianans are due refunds. We refund hundreds of millions of dollars. It's that much churn in the system. So those are some of the things that we do, and we've got more things on the drawing board. So the final thing I want to talk about, and then I'll take questions. It's I announced 13 months ago, December 4th, 2024, that I'm running against Senator Bill Cassidy. We have done very well in this campaign. We have led the entire way in terms of polling. I'll tell you what our poll in October showed. I was at 25%, Cassidy at 23%. The rest of the field, everybody in the field, added up to 17%. So they were kind of distantly behind us.
How many people are in the field?
In that poll was a total of 60.
It really irritates me that they brought so many people in to muddy the waters.
Right.
We
Right.
can save the question for that.
And remember that this is a closed primary, so these are all Republicans who are running. And it's going to be in 4 months, y'all, May 16th.
Okay.
But also in the poll, it showed that Cassidy and I would be in a runoff, and that I would win by 11 votes, 40-26. We did another poll, came in yesterday, and I stretched that lead now to 18 points over Cassidy.
Yeah.
So everybody else pretty much stayed where they were. So say what? Cycle build. So we have 14,000 signs out, and if you would like some signs, just write your name down and number, and we'll get them to you. We have 6 billboards out. If you go through, that route, you'll see a huge, if y'all seen it, it's me and Trump doing this. And, so we have them on all the interstates and near all the large cities. And, we have over 200 volunteers. We have something called the Picnic Program, which you're interested in joining. All it is we meet about every 2 weeks, and you can come on with our Zoom calls. And this program is growing rapidly, and we catch you up with what's going on, what you might hear in your local area, and certainly what you'd like to do to help us in the campaign. There's many different things you can do. So those are some of the aspects of all of that. Issues. The one big pressing issue that's really getting a lot of attention right now is carbon capture.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have 2 legislators in this race who voted for it every single opportunity. They systematically voted for it. And I don't know why. They won't say why. But we know that the lobbyists were heavy on this. And this was all done mainly between 2020 and 2023, a little bit in 2024. But the people affected by this in the areas where the drilling is expected to be knew nothing about this. This was all behind closed doors. They are up in there rather than a wet hen about this. And look, I've always been against these climate change boondoggles, particularly when taxpayer money is used.
Yeah.
Wind and solar. I fought against that when I was in Congress. Not because I'm against it. I just don't think the taxpayers should be subsidized.
Right.
If you can use wind in some way or solar, put solar panels on your house and it works for you, as an individual or as a company or whatever, and I'm not having to pull out of my pocket to support it. Power to you.
Exactly.
I'll tell you up front, it ain't gonna work. That's the reason why it has subsidies. And the whole idea, the woke idea behind this is if we subsidize it enough, somehow it'll work.
Yeah.
Science doesn't work that way, folks.
Yeah.
Neither does the marketplace. We want all forms of energy to compete. And the winners and losers, it's just like eating business. It's like restaurants or any place. The ones who do well are going to sustain and those otherwise won't. So, but the biggest wrinkle in this, and remember, this is brand new. There's never been a carbon capture well done ever in Louisiana, but they're getting close to doing it. Right. And so carbon dioxide can kill you if it leaks out of the ground in enough of a density. It replaces the oxygen.
That's right.
So it's easy for me to say. Back in 2020, Sartarsha, Mississippi, had a leak from a pipeline, CO2. 45 people had to be rushed to the hospital, losing consciousness, having seizures, foaming at the mouth.
Wasn't it an explosion?
Well, I think so. I think it burst.
Yeah.
And I mean, there wasn't a fire or anything like
Right.
that. And see, emergency vehicles can't operate because they have to have oxygen too. So how do they get these people every year? Not a good situation. But it has the potential to kill. And so there's really no, there hasn't been really any science on this, no research about this.
And
It also will take away the value of your land because once it's there, how you're going to sell your land.
Right.
You can't drill through it, so you can't get the minerals. It can get into the water supply, so it's tainted at that point. It creates carbonic acid. And the carbonic acid will leach lead and other heavy metals out of the rock formations, which can poison you. So all of that is bad. But what people are really mad about is the legislature passed something called eminent domain. Gives the power to private and foreign, domestic and foreign companies. They can come in and take control of your land for this profit and not adequately compensate. And that was all done behind people's back. People don't know about it. So Anyway, it's going to be an issue in this campaign. I'm totally opposed to it. I've committed that the first bill I will submit when I get to the Senate is the full retail and defunding of 45Q tax credits, which is what pays for. See, there's no market out there. Nobody is buying this.
Subsidized.
It's totally subsidized, hundreds of billions of dollars of your money,
The tax dollars.
tax dollars, in order to inflict this on you. So you're paying for it.
Subsidized. Not something.
Absolutely. So who benefits? It's the big companies that do this. But these are oil and gas companies. These are not poor companies, folks. They can make plenty of money without it. So it doesn't add up. But anyway, that's a big major issue here. And there are many others. I know I got a question about healthcare. I can tell you that the fact that you're paying so much out of pocket and for the premiums and all of that is directly caused by Obamacare.
Yeah.
See, I was there debating Obamacare. I was one of the leads against it back in 2009 and when it passed in 2010. And in that huge, humongous bill, there wasn't a single word that would lower the cost of healthcare. Nothing in it. And it really, but bothered me because I'm going, well, this is going to be a big new program that we're going to add, just like, SNAP and all these other things. So surely modern medicine would be opposed to it, the practice of medicine and the big pharmaceutical companies and the big hospital companies. But to my surprise, they were all for it.
They're all for transgenders.
Right. But here's what I subsequently found out is they cut backroom deals and they're making big bank from it. See? And middlemen, the PBMs, all of that. The PBMs are supposed to negotiate drug prices. They've all been bought out by the insurance companies. So if you go to a doctor or to a hospital for care, do you know what your charge is going to be when you get that service? Do you have any? You don't.
You really have to be proactive about finding out.
Do you know what? The doctor doesn't know either. Nobody knows. It's a mysterious system in which finally you get demand for a certain amount of money and maybe EOB. But when you select a healthcare facility, you do not know the quality or the price of what you're getting. What else in our economy does it work that way? Nothing. So that's the reason why the costs are sky high. We need a system where these providers are competing against one another, where you have transparency on their quality, the results, like what's the side effects rate of, say, certain. What are the outcomes? Is there like 1% that failed or 10% that failed? You don't know any of this information. Now, anything else, if you buy a car, you buy a house, you buy a pair of food, you're going to know exactly what you're getting and you're going to know exactly what you're going to pay if you ask. But in healthcare, that's not true. And that's by design. So what I want to do is see us reform healthcare completely and return the private market back and hold healthcare facilities, doctors, everybody accountable. And where you see insurance not involved, like if you go to a dermatologist to get laser or something that's not covered, they compete on price, right? You would get a much better deal.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's covered by insurance, no, it's ridiculous how it's for these. So those are two things. That's one thing that I'm very interested in working on when I get to the office of a physician. I want to make healthcare more affordable, more available, and I want you to be a well-educated, informed consumer. Now, the other thing in healthcare that could come out in this election is I'm opposed to vaccine mandates.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm opposed to it. I do encourage vaccine. I believe in vaccines. I've given thousands of shots to children and adults. Well, I've given COVID shots, but here's the point I'm making. If you take a medicine or if you have surgery, there's something called informed consent. You should know what the side effects, the
Yeah.
potential side effects are. And you should be able to refuse it. You go, thanks, doctor, but I've heard about this medicine. I don't want to take it. Okay, that's fair. Perhaps you'll consider another medicine or maybe not treatment at all. Surgery. I had a guy, I was talking to a guy the other day. He said that he has back problems. He says his back doctor wants to do a frontal surgery in order to get to his spine in order to do a fusion. And he said, I'm really worried about it. I said, well, you're in your 80s and that's a big surgery.
Yeah.
And he said, I think I'm going to go to another doctor who does injections. And I said, I'm with you on that. Okay. Because the chance of something going wrong is much lower for something like that.
Back surgery.
Absolutely. So the point being, not that that's a bad thing to do, because some people maybe need that kind of surgery, but you should be well informed and you should make the decision in consultation with a trusted personal physician. You should not be required, you should not be fired or kicked out of the military because you refuse a vaccine, whether it's COVID or anything else.
Yeah.
I believe in health freedom. Health freedom means that if you want to get it, you should be able to get it. Nobody should block you from getting that service. But if you don't want it, you make that decision and you don't get it. That's very straightforward. Bill Cassidy not only supports vaccine mandates, but vaccine
Passports,
passports.
green
Yeah.
passports.
Passports.
Yeah, the green passport, he offered that.
Yeah. So, and look, overall vaccines are very safe, but there have been some, I took care of a patient once who had Guillain-Barré syndrome. He was a young man in high school, because he had a flu shot. It was a swine flu shot, not the kind we did now. And I just don't think it was properly tested. So I support Bobby Kennedy in doing he's disrupting health
Yeah.
services. And in doing so, it's making us all think about better ways to provide health care,
Yeah.
because it's become so institutionalized that, for instance, Pfizer and all those companies, they don't even test things like they should. They go, we'll just declare it safe and nobody's going to ask. And that's the way it's been going on for decades. But we do know things go wrong. And so you need to be informed of that potential and be willing to take a chance. I run the risk of getting the disease, but I also run the risk of having side effects. I'll decide, not you. As to whether I take them. So those are some major things. I'll be happy to open up for some questions.
I have a question. Okay, so I was informed that the state treasury oversees a fund that is accumulated from fines that oil companies are fined, and this fund comes from the fines. Is that
I'm not aware of such a fund.
you're okay? Okay,
Now,
so
we do have-
that's
We
strange.
do have.
There,
Yes.
wait. Daniel, grab that, please. Never mind. Yeah. Sorry about that.
We do have something called dedicated funds for oil and gas, but they're not funds. They are just taxes. Now, are fines stuff in there? Possibly, but I'm not aware.
Okay, well, I was told that it's specifically a fund that's created from fines that even
Well-
like whoever, it's been there, it's not, it didn't happen under you, it's supposedly have been there. And that whoever is the treasurer could go into that fund and find out who the companies were that were fined. And then we could find out who the bad actors are that are involved in, participating in this CCS, the
Well,
carbon capture sequestration.
DOT may actually, we don't manage. Most of, for instance, retirement accounts are managed by the boards that oversee those. So we have a seat on the board, but we don't control that. So I just have to check. I'm not aware of such a thing.
Because sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward, like find out who the bad actors are, who the ones being fined, and then see if they're involved in this CCS. Because, like Exxon sent a text out to everyone saying that Landry was for CCS.
Well, he is.
Yeah, I know he is, but
Yeah.
Exxon is too. So,
For sale.
yes. And so,
In fact, I'll tell you something.
it's this,
Uh,
these are the oligarchs, the
Right.
globalists, the ruling class are
Yeah.
trying to push all this on us.
Actually, Exxon made it. You can see, brought one of their tech experts and their, to meet with. Of course, I had my staff there. You know, I didn't want anybody to think there's anything funny going on in
Correct.
this discussion. So that the expert goes through and he talks about, you know, they have a lot of safety information and all that, which we have to see. And he's given all the pluses and all that. And I said, well, you know, you lose me at taking taxpayer money to pay for this. I said, if I can't even get to the safety issue or even eminent domain, I can't get past these subsidies. Okay, which I had the same feeling about solar. He turned to me and said, I agree. He actually agreed that it's a bad thing to be taking taxpayer money for this.
Yeah.
Right? He actually agreed. So I was convincing him instead of him convincing me. This is a dumb idea. But anyway, but I'm happy to check on it.
Okay.
Call him.
Okay, thank you.
I've got two big, pamphlets advertising that it was
Yes.
great and they said that Donald Trump supported. Of course, you know, I mean,
Yes.
but they would say, great. I think somebody.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Total
I
lot.
told her that was a lot.
So
Something positive.
well, let me expand it. I know, it's a mixed bag. I admit that it's a little, but see, they're taking advantage of the fact that it's a little bit. So somehow the White House put something out, and I don't know when they put it out. But it does support carbon capture, but it's from the White House.
Yeah,
It's
not
not-
necessarily directly from.
He has never said,
Unsaid.
well, also people deliberately conflate, enhanced oil recovery, with carbon sequestration. See, enhanced oil recovery is using carbon dioxide.
Is that correct?
No, not fracking. It, when you do an oil well, there's about 15% residual left, and they use the carbon dioxide to sweep it out. And there's
That's
some,
not the same.
no, it's a certain amount that's left behind, but they recover most of it. But sequestration is totally different.
Right.
They dig these very, very sophisticated wells that go down deep, and they
Right.
put this carbon dioxide under pressure, which means that it's a huge, it doesn't go into like a bowl. It goes into it's a plume that goes for really, thousands of acres all around. And it could be under your house and you don't know it. And then all of a sudden you see a cloud of stuff that's leaking up in your yard or something, your school. But no, he has never come out and said clearly that he supports carbon capture and sequestration. And I'd love even to hear what you did. If you can send that to me, but I've not heard him say
You know, I
anything.
think he was speaking. Oh, I mean, I
But here's the,
he talked about it. I was like,
but here's the counter to that. So he's pretty much shut down all subsidies for wind and solar, calling them a
yeah,
scam.
Yes, he has.
Number two, he actually did remove some funding for carbon capture and sequestration.
okay.
He did. Now, admittedly, in the one big beautiful bill, there was additional funding for carbon capture and sequestration. But remember that bill was down to one vote majority in the House. Like always, when you have a big bill like that, there's a must-pass bill, cuts taxes and prevents taxes from going up, and it shuts down the border and all that. Sometimes you're just going to have to swallow a bitter pill. But the only thing he ever says about these climate change activities is just a scam. But here's the thing that really convinces me. the head of the EPA has declared, he's taken down the rule that carbon dioxide is a pollutant in the atmosphere.
Can't see it.
Right. So Obama was the one who put that rule up, and Trump was taking it down. So if there's no danger to the planet from carbon dioxide release, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and making Louisiana a pincushion? And I mean that literally, because their plan is 50% of all carbon sequestration for the country is planned right here in Louisiana.
Makes companies great.
Yes. Make companies great. That's exactly right. So anyway, I wish he would come out more clearly. Louis Lafayette had the Secretary of Interior on his show about a month ago, and he asked him this question. And what he said was that carbon dioxide is good for EOA, enhanced oil recovery, EOA. But he said not for sequestration.
Yeah.
He said that. So now we got two agencies, EPA and the Department of Interior, that are not. We're saying basically it's not good. So I think the weight of the evidence is that way. On the other hand, you've got this organization that's doing this. It's saying that the people opposed to carbon capture are funded by George Soros and the left wing and all that. Totally lie. That is not true. This is a true grassroots organization, and they're pulling out of their pockets for these lawsuits and all that.
What organization is that?
Save My Louisiana.
Oh, Save My Louisiana.
Yeah, and I encourage you to go to this. It's actually a conglomeration of several anti-CCS organizations, but the sort of umbrella, Save My Louisiana. Save My Louisiana, yes.
My or our?
No, mine.
My.
And they have website, you can go to their social media, and there's a lot of discussions and debates going on there, and you'll learn a lot of information.
I want to clarify something on the big bill.
Sure.
House of Representatives, when they passed that bill, 245 was going to terminate the subsidy for carbon capture. And that House version of the bill, it was going to terminate in 26, which is this year.
Right.
When it went to the Senate, the bill got hijacked, and I think it was 8 senators, including Catholic, took the bill where the carbon capture is now going to be extended to 2030. I think that's a big deal. So what's going to happen is, because the momentum is going against carbon capture, the five projects that are going into the state will be installed by that time frame, and the funding will be pulled at that point. And then, in typical Washington fashion, they're going to come back and say, "Oh, now we're against it." Once they spend that $6.3 billion.
Right. Well, but you're absolutely right. Cassidy has been an architect. Remember, he voted for it.
So,
Bill.
Instead of hijack.
Yes, that's correct. Cassidy was the leader. There we have a video of him. He loves to be on these like CBS and shows on Sunday. He made the statement in 2022. He said the EPA is not moving fast enough to create permits for carbon capture and sequestration. He was frustrated it wasn't coming to Louisiana fast enough. And he also was instrumental in putting that funding in the infrastructure bill. Remember, that's $1.2 trillion. It was going to totally remake our highways. And
My work at when I was at Blue, we did 6 wells for got salt domes.
Yeah.
And it takes years to put in the class 6 wells. Because remember, you have to put in the class 5 wells first.
Right.
So by the time you do that would take 3 or 4 years. Right. So what they're doing right now is spending all that money on all this infrastructure. And then at the end of the 5 years, then they can kill the whole project.
So the bottom line is,
$6.3 billion.
right, most of that money is actually going to woke ideas. $5 billion went to the bullet train in Los Angeles. They've not even driven the personnel. I mean, it's just a disaster how much money is being wasted. And yet nothing happens to our highways, our bridges, our airports are way behind other countries. And again, he was an architect. So So basically, well, we managed to work on some bridges, but not like you would expect.
No.
Not enough bill like it. So anyway, to be clear on carbon capture and sequestration, there are 3 people in this race who are 100% behind it by their voting records. Bill Cassidy, and 2 legislators who are in this voted every single time in favor of it. I've been opposed to it from the very beginning, and I've been opposed. Well, I don't. wanna
He
be
doesn't do that,
criticizing
yeah,
anybody here,
that's
but
right.
It's easy to find out. There are ladies in the group. So,
Thank you.
But anyway, any other questions?
Dr. Fleming,
Sir, John?
okay, go financial losses all day long, but I got some more important. They got these in the state. So
You gotta love it.
money in politics, non-profits and all that. But I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying to start up a business. And I can't get, I'm not looking for anything for free. I'm just looking for a hand up. Or make it alone and I can't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, small businesses is the backbone,
Sure.
not only in Louisiana, but America, and talk about creating small business on creating jobs, definition.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as far as the government's concerned, a couple options is the SBA. State money to small businesses. You might check in with LED. I don't, mostly they're going after these big data centers and all that. I don't know. I haven't heard them do anything for the small business people at all, which is really, frankly, what our economy is based on. It's not based on data centers. We're going to end up with 3 or 4 data centers, but that might add up to 1,000 jobs at most.
We need to get that GM truck plant back. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Go ahead.
okay. Go ahead. Did Trump cut infrastructure money to New Orleans?
I'm not aware that he has. He may
Okay.
have, but I'm not specifically aware that it applies to people.
No, somebody's commenting saying he
Oh, I
did.
see.
We have a lot of Democrats,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'm not aware that it's good.
Okay.
But I was meant, we lost that, the General Motors truck plant, Freeport, and they were in Texas. That was a major employer for you.
Well, you know what destroyed that? It was NAFTA. It was these free trade agreements
That's right.
that
That's
it
exactly
was free
right.
trade. It was free for the other guys.
Right. Not
We were the ones that got
Hey,
hosed.
yes.
So Trump is reversing that.
Right.
He's saying, okay, if you're going to tariff us 25%, we'll tariff you 25%.
Fair is
To
fair.
me, it's not
Should have always
good
been that
to
way.
have fair trade to have free trade unless you have fair trade. We all have to have the opportunity to compete in the worldwide economy. But when you give it away to people in Mexico and Canada, places like that, or even Taiwan. So that's, he's restoring with these tariffs and all of that. When he gets done, there are going to be a lot more jobs out there, but they're going to be skilled jobs. We need people well educated.
When you win and become senator, will you support the film families? Because we have 10,000 film families in Louisiana that since the 2 years ago, they've practically went to Europe and to Canada. It's not even, there are no films, only small budgeted ones.
Well, to be honest with you, the film industry in general is pretty much flat.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen a good, well-produced movie since COVID.
They left they left the United States. They went to foreign countries, the big companies. But would you support it?
Well, I would support anything that brings commerce to Louisiana. Absolutely. Now, you think I could have one of those? Maybe.
I'll talk to my husband.
You did everything else.
You sure could.
There you go.
All right, one more question. Anyone?
The medical field. Okay, I'm concerned because my dad was a doctor. He's an interner, and it's so much different now than it was then. I mean, now, doctors are told what they can tell you and what they, I take Armor, which is a natural thyroid. My doctor's trying to talk me into getting Synthroid, which I know is bad for me. I've taken it and it doesn't do the same thing. And it just seems to me like they go by what the AMA tells them and they don't think outside the box.
Well, where you are from?
No.
Don't have to go by the. Go by 100%.
Yeah.
Well, there's also pre-authorization. The insurance company.
Right. I mean, I'm getting ready. I go in Medicare next month. Yeah. But they don't cover my former thyroid.
Right.
It's $150. Well, I take the MT thyroid, which is cheaper. It's $150 for 3 months.
Sure.
That's a lot of money, when I'm getting ready to retire. So that's what, I mean, to me, he always says, oh, well, it's natural, so it's not the right dosage or anything, but I've never had a problem with it.
Sure.
And I don't know why he's trying to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
We have to change that.
Well, I'm thinking about it.
And see, remember, that's what I'm saying, is that we all need to be, in every part of the economy, we need to be competing for your business. See, even as treasurer, and this was my position as a member of Congress, my constituent services, I believe you are the customer. Okay? The customer is always right. And if you're not satisfied, I want to find a way to satisfy you, to make you happy. Because I believe that's the way our democracy works. I believe that's the way the founding fathers created. And but all too many people in elected office, once they get there, they feel like that they're now not above. And now they got to talk down to you. And I'm told again, back to Senator Cassidy, I'm told, I have been in front of, but I'm told by a lot of people that he just tells people they're just flat wrong, that he has the knowledge.
Yeah.
And you just need to accept what he says. That's bad customer service.
Yeah, very bad.
I believe you know best. Did you have a question?
When you're elected, can we come visit you in Capitol Hill?
Well, if you want to stay at my house, I may rent out a room for you. No, y'all are welcome. In fact, I've been thinking through this. If I'm elected, I would love to have as many friends as possible to come up and take part in that. I mean, to me, this will be the highlight of my life. If I'm elected, I'm not elected yet. I take anything for granted. But I would really, it would really warm my heart to have anybody who can, and I obviously go a little celebration and do something that's nice that you want to come up there for. But to be able to participate with me in this, because I feel like, this is my mindset. Remember, I said I accepted the Lord as my Savior, and that I'm here to serve the people. And I feel like I'm the part of the people. I grew up in a working class home. It's all the same. I do not feel like I'm above anybody here. I'm with you, and I see the world like you do.
Well, we're in 17 years,
Right.
and things that could be changed. That
Sure.
serious changes. But I could meet with you, Dr. Oz, and
Yeah.
we have some great ideas. But these programs and the fraud that's in them, actual waste.
So nice.
I think of these programs. Right. Who's watching it? Who's got the purse strings? What?
Well, in Minnesota, in fact, it's not a mistake, it's a feature.
Right. The feeds are not above.
Exactly. It's done on purpose. Yeah. And
Not
it's all in.
clearing centers now, it's transportation.
Right. Yeah, it's spreading out to all its benefits.
What, I think it's
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to have inspections. Right? And if you inspect the daycare, it may be no kids there. Maybe you might have to assume maybe they've all been poisoned or something. I mean, if there are no kids there, you got to assume something bad has happened.
one more thing. Right. We have, as Republicans, a plan to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with something. Because we talk about getting rid of it, but we don't seem to have a lot of ideas about what
Right.
we're doing.
Yeah, we did try to repeal it. The problem is it's so deeply inculcated all through our culture and our economy, and it's linked up now with Medicaid.
It used to be that you had a catastrophic plan for when you went to the hospital or had a baby, and then you could afford to pay your doctors what you owed them when you went to go for a visit. Now it covers
But
everything.
all these companies are driving the prices.
Right. Well,
So I'm not suggesting that we don't do something. What I'm saying is that it'd be very difficult to just have one simple bill that says, okay, remove Obamacare and we'll go with what's left. What we have to do is completely overhaul.
I think force doctors to compete with one another.
Absolutely.
And as an example, LASIK surgery
Right.
has never been covered by insurance.
Right.
And it went from really, really expensive to now it's like, anybody can afford it.
Absolutely.
So that shows you that when it's not covered, the price comes.
So you get no better value in health care than that is not covered.
Yeah.
If it's out of pocket, you're going to get the most for your bucks. That's the way it works. So not to say that we shouldn't do away with insurance, because you still may need
No, you need stuff.
but still we can do a lot better.
All right.
So,
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I think that I appreciate you, Louisiana State Treasurer, Dr. John Fleming, candidate for Senate. We thank you so much. We have a lot of faith in what's going to happen here. A lot of people are aware of the sinister things that are going on behind the scenes. And I like one thing that Charlie Kirk said, although I like a lot of things, but one of the things that he said is that we are alive in a wonderful time, because it's not really Democrats against Republicans as much as it is we the people against the oligarchs, we the people against the ruling class, and we the people against the globalists. And so that kind of helps us. We do have very corrupt Democrats. We also have very corrupt Republicans. And so when we see that, but we can agree on many things. We the people can agree that this isn't about the ruling class anymore. This is about we the people. And we the people who have a faith in our Savior, in Christ. He's the one who's going to move the mountain. So Trump was right when he said big league. We're going to win big league. We are winning. And this CCS is deadly. And so it's not going to win. And so the big companies are going to have to back off of this. And that Q45 fund needs to go away. It cannot be taxed. We cannot be killed from the ground up with our own tax dollars that we worked for and pay into the system for over 50% of our earned income. That's what it feels like. And so we're funding our own demise. Yeah, no, not today. And so, we applaud you and we thank you for coming out, and speaking against a lot of the things that we believe are very heinous crimes. I know this hasn't been addressed, but, from January 1st through 2 days ago, they're flying in the skies. Valerie Hodges was laughed at in the Senate when she presented the bill about the chemtrails. Well, if you looked up in the sky on January 1st, they were flying 5, 6, 10 planes and marked up the skies. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is actually happening. And they are polluting our skies with chemicals that are coming down. And I think by the 6th there was fog over the Causeway Bridge. And then by the 10th, we had a little rain. These are man-made clouds. This is not God-made. And so we are waking up. The people are waking up. With no accountability, but these are the oligarchs. These are ruling class. These are the elites. And so, we do have to speak up against it. And so what if someone calls you a conspiracy theorist? I mean, it doesn't matter anymore what a person calls you.
It doesn't take long for it to be shown to be true.
Right.
Sometimes when you're paranoid, people really are out to get you.
Yeah,
Yes, this is very true. Right. So prayer is powerful. And as a body of Christ, we move mountains with prayer. And that's why we're very effective as Christians, because we have authority in us to go to the Lord. Yeah, right. And I know they say that you're not supposed to, talk about Christ, to talk about your faith when you're in politics. But the problem is they removed God from politics. And this is how this came about, right? There's no God in it. And so now the enemy has a free for all. And so we are back. America is back. The people who have faith are back. And we're stepping into positions all around the United States, especially in Louisiana. And, we advocate for them to go in and do the bid of the people. This is what LA CAG does. They go into the Senate and the House and they do the work for the people. So go on to LA CAG, support them because they work for us and they don't get a paycheck. Yet they're in the House and the Senate defending us daily. I see Christopher in there. When I'm there, he is daily there with his wife. Okay, we need to, if it's $10, if it's $20, if it's $100, $1,000, tithe to that if you're not giving to a church. Give to them because they are working for us while we're working to provide for our families. It's very important to bless them. Thank you. We appreciate you and we will continue to pray for this kind of place. We're going to go ahead and move quickly because we were supposed to be adjourned already. I want to let's see where we are. Minutes of the meeting. Linda, can you come up real quick? Susie is our legislative liaison. Susie, as soon as Linda gives the minutes, we'll give you just about 2 minutes, okay? All right, thank you.
Okay, so we have the minutes. Everybody have a copy, I hope. I have plenty extra if you need any. We're gonna Billy Nungasser spoke at our Christmas party, and he was great. And he really did. If you have any questions about what he said about illegal immigration, go online. I have a website here where you can see exactly what he said. A lot of people were trying to misrepresent him and what he said. So, can we get a motion to vote on the meetings? Terry is first. Anybody second? Okay. Mary Ann Sandberg. So we have voted on that and those are approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Give me papers back, please.
Everybody's taking
Okay. Susie LeBrie, first 1 minute. We're going to give her 2 minutes.
First of all, Paula Davis dropped out the race. Thanks, Paula Davis. Now, talking about the Davises, I need to tell you something. There's a new Davison on the block, and his name's Larry Davis, and he's going to be running for Congress in District 5, and that's something new. As far as the legislature goes, March the 9th is the opening date, and bills are starting to be filed, and we see that carbon dioxide capture in sequestration is going to be probably the star feature for this session. And everybody just be alert. My group's called Louisiana Sunshine. I'm not registered or anything like that. It's just a web Facebook page, and I find the best. Also have a Telegram site called Louisiana Sunshine.